Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Temple City Council for Thursday, May 16th, 2019. Please rise as Pastor Scott Meyer leads us in the invocation this evening, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Chief Ellis.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we begin by saying how grateful we are to live both in our nation, in our state, most importantly in this community right here. And Father, what a beautiful day we've enjoyed together. Father, I pray for our leaders. I pray for this council as they discern, as they seek your will. May you fill them with wisdom. Father, I also pray a blessing and appreciation on our first responders, particularly the police today, and all that they do to serve and to protect and to care for us. Father, may you watch over them and grant them the safety and the protection as they look after ours. Father, thank you so much for the grace that is sent through your Son. May we extend that grace to each other and to our neighbors. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. I failed to mention that Chief Ellis is the Chief of Police over in Belton and also the President of the Texas Police Chiefs Association. So thank you for coming across the river tonight. Appreciate it. Our next item is public comments. Citizens who desire to address the council on any item may do so by signing up prior to this meeting. Public comments will be received during this portion of the meeting. Please limit those comments to 3 minutes, and no discussion or final action will be taken by the city. First, we have Myrna Dalton. Is that correct? Please step up to the podium.
Mayor, council members, my name is Myrna Dalton. My address is 5303 Dons Trail. And I'm here today to speak about the 7th Street resurfacing project. I have mailed a letter to the city and a couple of other people have been copied on it. And I want to thank you, first of all, for being good stewards of the county, the city's money, and awarding these contracts. I know that you can't control the weather, and that has been a big issue with this project specifically. As many saw the picture in the Temple Daily Telegram, the rain has created essentially a lake. It did. It was pumped out. I went by there earlier today, and it has been pumped out. There's a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of resurfacing. When I did mail the letter, I did receive a response for which I thank you, Councilmember Morales. And she did ask for some suggestions, so I do have a few that I just want to bring up. First of all, there is no sidewalk in place. Those have been torn out. So there is a resident with COPD, a resident who travels in a wheelchair, a resident who walks with a cane, and 2 elderly residents as well, who do not use an assistive device, but they do ambulate slowly. So there is concern that they are being isolated because they can't traverse the muddy area or the dirt. So if there is plywood placed on like 2x6 boards and screwed in place, that would create something that they could actually travel through to the street. I consulted with a local contractor to get that information. Also, there's a concern about the mosquitoes. So for the mosquito abatement, any standing water, there will be more rain, and that needs to be pumped out right away. It takes about 24 to 48 hours for mosquito larvae to hatch, and we know they're carriers of disease. Also, with the health and welfare aspect that is concerning the most, I did ask in the letter for what was a plan for first responders to reach people in need. There are children there, and children get hurt all the time, and with all the construction, the exposed rebar should be capped as well. And so maybe there is somebody that can check on the residents to ensure that they have the needed medication, needed food, just the basic necessities. And also that they can leave their homes to purchase food and other necessities that they need for their homes. Perhaps wheelchair vans who are manned by professional crews can assist the disabled people into getting into a vehicle and going through that muddy area. I would also suggest, as several of the residents there suggested, to install signs for decreased speed in that area. There are people that have to park their vehicles across Avenue H, and not only are they worried about break-ins, but they're also worried about crossing the traffic with small children and, as I mentioned, the elderly couple that ambulate slowly. I don't know what the plan is for first responders to get there. I did speak with a local area paramedic, and she said that it would take about 6 people to carry a stretcher, or otherwise you can risk having it get stuck in the mud. That delay could really cost some precious minutes, and some lives could be lost with that delay. So those are just a few of the things that come to mind that have not been addressed. And I don't think anybody anticipated that we would have such a rainy season at this time. So there's a lot of other contingencies that weren't taken into account, I believe, when the project was initiated. So I just ask that you consider that and consider the age of these people, the residents. I went to each house and I spoke with the residents that were there and addressed their concerns, got their concerns, and so I'm bringing them forward to you. These are all people of color. They are intimidated by any vestige of authority, so they need an advocate, and now they have one. So I leave it to you to take it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Dalton. Also, thank you for checking on your neighbors. Not everyone's willing to do that. Appreciate that. Next up to speak will be Bobby Thompson. Ms. Thompson.
Yes, hello. My name is Bobby Thompson. I live at 904 South Henderson Street. Mayor Davis, Judy Morales, and council members. As Chester and I are living in our twilight years, we appreciate the city. We both own canes now, as you see. We would like for the Central Avenue steps that lead into the city council meeting to have 3 small ramps to help us to be accessible, to be able to get into this building. Because when you try to go out that door after 5 o'clock, you can't get out. So we're asking if y'all would put like 3 ramps out there coming into the building where the steps are. If you'd put a ramp there, that'll be easier for us to access to come into the meeting. As you know, Chester and I love coming to this meeting, and please help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. And last to sign up is Joe Ramirez. Hello, Mr. Ramirez. It's been a while. It's good to see you.
My name is Joe Ramirez, and I live at 1102 North 6th Street here in Temple. And I'm only I haven't been around due to health issues, but it's good to be out. My main concern right now at this moment is the section of the street where I live on King Street. There are stop signs on Main and King, 2nd and King, and those stop signs are just there for looks. I quit walking my dog for my safety. Now, between 6th and 8th Street, we seem to be having a racing zone. For some reason, early in the morning, people are coming out of work. They love to race their cars. Now, Sundays is the worst time. There's people across the street at the Ladies Federation Club that hold church services. And you can barely have one car go in between because of all the cars that are parked on each side of the street. That doesn't mean a darn thing to these guys that race that street. You can't be calling the police department all the time. They got things to do. People just got to be adult enough to have common sense that, be courteous, be slow. But there's no posted signs of speed limits. I requested for a speed bump a couple of years ago, and what did they do? They put a stop sign on the corner of 6th and King, and like I said, that stop sign is just there for looks. I don't know why. There's a big difference between stop and yield. So all I'm asking is maybe a speed bump. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next item is item number 3, to present a certificate to the Temple Police Department for achievement of recognized status for compliance with the Texas Law Enforcement Agency Best Practices Recognition Program.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and guests, and how fitting that we're doing this during National Police Week. As you said, my name is Gene Ellis. I'm the Chief of Police in our county seat, but I'm actually here tonight as the President of the Texas Police Chiefs Association. I'm honored this evening to be representing TPCA in the recognition program. TPCA is an organization of over 1,300 law enforcement executives throughout the state who are dedicated to improving the delivery of police services. I'm here this evening to present the Temple Police Department a certificate of recognition for achieving compliance with the Texas Law Enforcement Best Business Practices. 14 years ago, the Texas Police Chiefs Association developed an accreditation program for Texas law enforcement with the goal of professional excellence, requiring independent proof of compliance with a set of rigorous standards. The Texas Best Practices Program is an accreditation program that has 168 challenging standards for Texas law enforcement. These standards address a full range of law enforcement operations such as use of force, protecting citizens' rights, vehicle pursuits, training, arrest, search and seizure, patrol and investigations, property evidence, and many more. This program has become the new gold standard for Texas law enforcement, with many agencies lined up and working diligently to achieve these requirements. It's a voluntary program. Your department did not have to go through this. Approximately 2 years ago, Chief Mitchell and the Temple Police Department began the process of proving their compliance with these difficult standards. And they've had to prove the compliance to well-trained independent assessors. It's not easy to comply. The agency had to complete an audit of all its policies, procedures, training, and operations in order to meet these standards. The process culminated in February of this year when 2 trained assessors who were police executives from other agencies made an on-site inspection of TPD. These assessors interviewed staff, they inspected your facilities and operations, rode with officers, and they ensured compliance with all 168 standards. Their report was then submitted to a committee comprised of 9 police chiefs from around the state who reviewed the report and then voted to award recognized status to the Temple Police Department. I'm proud to say that vote was unanimous. During the process, the Temple PD has proven that it meets or exceeds all standards. What's really interesting is there's about 2,400 law enforcement agencies in Texas, and only 152 of them are recognized. So TPD becomes part of less than 5% of the agencies in the state that have this elite status. This evening, we officially recognize the Temple Police Department as the 152nd recognized agency in the state of Texas. You might ask, what does this mean to you? The recognition program ensures and assures the council and the citizens of Temple that your agency is operating in the manner that best reflects the current best practices of law enforcement in the state of Texas. It means your agency is one of the best. The certificate we present this evening is a symbol of professional excellence. However, the real value of this program is the process they went through to attain it. And I think they can tell you it was a rigorous process. And this is not the end of the process. The program assists the agency in maintaining compliance with the standards. They'll have to submit an annual report and analysis to assure continued compliance. And then in 4 years, the assessors will be back. I know Lieutenant Hunt's extremely excited about that. But to make sure that compliance has been maintained. Your police department has proven to trained and independent assessors that they're one of the best in the state. You should be very proud of their accomplishment. I'll ask Chief Mitchell to join me as we make the presentation of the certificate. But while he's making his way up here, I want to make a comment about Chief Mitchell. I had the honor of being part of the interview panel, one of the interview panels, when Chief Mitchell was hired. I said at that time that he was a rising star in our profession and the best fit for Temple. Since that time, I've been able to work with him and actually see his heart. He's a true professional, a servant leader, somebody that puts others first and his community first. He's a testament to our profession, and I have the honor of calling him a close friend. You have one of the best police chiefs in this state, and I congratulate you on that.
I couldn't do this by myself. That's why I want all my guys to come down here.
You need a microphone, Chief?
Does he need one?
Hey, who's watching our
Ours is more.
city?
We can turn that off from back here.
I just want to take a moment.
Wow.
It's on. I just want to take a quick moment and thank the council, city manager for allowing us to go through this process and paying for it, because it does cost a little money to go through it, to meet everything. But this was a huge challenge for our police department, and it's not me. It's everyone you see up here. The 154 law enforcement and civilian members of the Temple Police Department are the reason that we're here, and Gene's presenting this certificate.
Very good. Okay.
There is one surprise that we want to do. We have worked with Heather Bates out of the city manager's office, our media relations office, Ellen, Shawana, Cody, and Chris, and we put together a recruitment video that we wanted to debut to council tonight. So with that, I believe Heather is going to start that.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got one right here, right in front of me.
To wear the uniform is a privilege. To wear the badge is an honor.
There you go.
I'm confident. As a soldier, I serve my country. As a police officer, I serve my community.
I am dedicated. I was called to do this job.
I am noble. I bring those who harm others to justice.
I take pride in serving my community.
Very good. Very good.
I like how they brought it home and showed that they had
Yeah,
a
coming
family
home. Chief, thank you so much for that. I know it's your job, but to us, we appreciate the protection and just knowing we can all go home safe every night because of you guys. That really means a lot to us, and thank y'all for going the extra step to receive this certification. Very good. Item 4 is the consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered to be routine by the City Council and may be enacted by one motion. If discussion is desired by the council, any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member and will be considered separately. During workshop, we decided that we would be pulling item 4M for separate voting purposes. So, council, do you have any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda tonight?
Mayor, I'm sorry. I would also recommend that you consider pulling item F, which is related to the transfer agreement with Citizens for Progress. I failed to remember that Mayor Pro Tem Morales is a member of that organization, so she should probably abstain from that vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Council, any other items? Then at this time, I'll consider a motion to approve the consent agenda minus items 4M and 4F.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda minus those two items.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Long?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales? Mayor Davis?
Aye. Moving on to item 4F is to consider adopting a resolution authorizing a property transfer agreement with Citizens for Progress for the transfer of city-owned property located at 201 South Martin Luther King Drive as a community center. Ms. Myers, do you want to go over or just simple for just voting purposes?
I could certainly provide some comments, but primarily just
Okay.
for voting purposes.
Okay. Council, we've reviewed this before. Any comments or questions on this item? If not, then I'll entertain a motion for item 4F.
Motion to approve item 4F.
Councilmember Long? Aye. Councilmember Walker? Aye. Councilmember Williams? Aye. Mayor Pro Tem Morales? Aye. Mayor Davis?
Aye. Moving on to item 4M is to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a rezoning from ag zoning district to general retail zoning district on 1.554 plus or minus acres situated in the J.J. Simmons Survey, abstract number 737, Dale County, Texas. Address is 5018 State Highway 317. So, council, we talked about this one also in workshop. So I'll entertain a motion on item M.
make a motion for approval for item M.
Regarding the neighborhood services.
Right, so we just need clarification regarding whether you want to approve it as listed on the agenda and originally requested by the applicant, or which was general retail zoning, or for neighborhood services zoning district, as recommended by P&Z, which was your vote on first reading.
So that neighborhood services.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So do we have the proper motion now
Yes.
with neighborhood services?
Neighborhood services, yes. And I'll do a proper second, second to that motion.
Very good. We have a proper motion to second, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Long.
Aye.
Councilmember Walker. Councilmember Williams. Mayor Pro Tem Morales. Mayor Davis.
Very good. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item 5 is the first reading of public hearing. Consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a
Do you want to go ahead and read 6?
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you.
This evening, we have a joint presentation for 2 plan development rezoning cases. The first one was advertised as a plan development GR request that was subsequently revised by the applicant and approved by staff to an Ag to Plan Development Single Family 2 on a majority of the property with just a small Plan Development GR portion. That is the 19-9 case. The 19-13 case remained the same. The applicant is Turley and Associates for the short-term lending group, and it is the first reading tonight. It follows the second reading of the annexation approval that just occurred with the consent agenda. That was a voluntary annexation. So thus the zoning cases coming forward. The map and location of these 2 properties are shown on the right-hand side of the screen, and as I mentioned, the annexation was finalized just a few moments ago. Originally, as I mentioned, the southern piece in green and the light purple color, it's split by Hartrick Bluff Road. That is the first case, the 19-9 case that will be coming forward, and that small portion is 1.66 acres around an existing barn for the PDGR portion. The rest of the property is being requested as a plan development single family 2 for a residential development, as is the northern piece shown in tan. That too is a plan development single family 2 piece. Some background on the first case. It is two tracks, actually, as I mentioned, and it's a little shy of 171 acres, with the area that's shown in pink as the 1.661 acres of plan development GR, with the balance as plan development single family 2. It's about 1.5 miles from the FM 93 intersection, and of course that annexation that you just approved does take in all of Hartrick Bluff Road and only the roadway down to that property. And the developer is asking for an option to allow up to 10% single-family attached units on that property based on market forces to come as it comes into development. With the small portion for PDGR to be used as community, some community retail use, perhaps a farmer's market, or some other sort of use for the residents. Some background on the second case, which is you'll see is at the top of your screen. It's actually to the north of the first one. That is 118.5 acres, and the request is strictly for planned development, single family too, again, for residential development. It is about a little more than 3/4 of a mile south of FM 93 along Hartrick Bluff, with the intersection of Haymarket Drive, which connects it to Hartrick Bluff. It ends currently, Haymarket does, at the entrance to this property. It's bordered by agricultural land on 3 sides, and then a single-family subdivision to the west. The reason that the northwest corner is highlighted on the screen, that 18 acres or so, the developer is suggesting that he will have a minimum lot width of 75 feet instead of the normal single-family 2 type dimensions for the lots to better match the larger home sites that surround it. So that is called out in this and in the planned development site plan you'll see a little later. Some photographs of the property on the left is looking into the property along Hartrick Bluff. Hartrick Bluff is just off screen to the far left of the photograph. To the right is looking into the property, and you can see that barn that I mentioned that is part of the potential planned development GR portion that he's requesting. Looking south along Hartrick Bluff Road, you can see the property is to the left and the undeveloped character of the area. And then the right-hand photograph is looking north along Hartrick Bluff, and so the subject property is to the right. Photographs of the second case, which is the 13 ZC case, on the left is looking into the property, and also on the right you can see that it's basically undeveloped and just rural land. But to the west is the subdivision along Haymarket Drive that is not part of the annexation, so it is still in the county, although the Haymarket Drive itself, the right-of-way, was annexed into the city a little while ago. The future land use map shows these 2 tracts are in the middle of a very large agricultural rural area that was called out in 2008 when it was last done. Of course, we're redoing that now in that process. So it's in partial compliance with the future land use map, this request. The utility map does show water lines that are adjacent to the subject properties, but water and wastewater line extensions will be required to serve the developments that are planned for these properties. So this is also in partial compliance. The thoroughfare and trails map does show Hartrick Bluff as a collector. Haymarket Drive is not shown because it was not on our thoroughfare map since it was in the county. However, it is a local street upon annexation and connects the northern tract to Hartrick Bluff Road, and there are no nearby trails shown on our thoroughfare map. This is a depiction of a larger site plan that shows both properties, and as you can see, that northwest corner that I indicated on the 13-ZC tract is the portion that will have additional requirements on the lot size or the lot width placed on it, and this has both properties depicted to show the overall scale. So the conditions for the rezoning cases include masonry for the homes on the single-family development, bushes, a tree, the sod grass, turf grass will be required with a 20-foot front yard setback, and then the side corner setbacks would be on the street side 10 feet. The lot dimensions would follow single-family 2, except to allow a 40-foot minimum lot width on cul-de-sac and knuckles based on configuration of streets. 10% by acreage, as I mentioned, could be developed as single-family attached based on development trends moving forward. The northern case has an additional condition, and that is that 18 acres that I mentioned, those lots will be no less than 75 feet in width, which will match the area and the homes that are surrounding it. So we did send public notification as courtesy notices to the property owners. As you recall, we always do that within 200 feet. However, in the county, all of the surrounding property owners were not in the city and are not in the city, actually. And so they received courtesy notices that they were told that the cases were moving forward, but they were slightly different. They did not have the response that we normally do for city properties. I haven't received anything but a phone call with a question about one of the signs. And as this mentions, it was advertised in the newspaper. So staff is recommending approval of these 2 rezoning requests. The first one is to plan development single family 2 and plan development GR. The second one is to plan development single family 2, so they'll have to be read separately. And with the previously mentioned conditions, and along with the site development plan as presented, Planning and Zoning on April 15th met and voted 8-0, and we had 1 abstention to approve both of these cases per staff's recommendation and as per presentation, including the site development map. Any questions or comments? There are folks here that could probably answer more in-depth questions about the plans if you need.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Barrett. Council, any questions on these items? No? We'll take item 5 first. This item is subject to a public hearing. Anyone wishing to, at this time, I'll open the public hearing on both items 5 and 6. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter may do so. Please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Yes, I'm John Keelan. I live at 11122 White Rock Drive. Mr. Mayor, Council, appreciate, number one, the approval on the annexation. I think that's a huge step forward for organized growth to the south. As you know, we've hit a wall at 93, and we really are seeing we're going to have to move some growth. So I really appreciate that annexation. And on these 2 items, I'm here to answer any questions. It does represent probably 5 product groups that we will be building into that area, price ranging from $175,000 to $500,000. So we think we're going to be bringing quite a few product groups to that area. And we are currently enjoy working with the city staff, and you will most likely in the next month and a half, 2 months, see at least 5 other voluntary annexations, just so we can solidify that quadrant for the city, and you'll be able to bring in utilities and know that you can control your growth. So we're real excited on what's going down there, and I'm here to answer any questions that you need.
Thank you, Mr. Keelan. Anyone else wish to speak? Very good. There being no one else, then I will call this public hearing to a close and entertain a motion on item number 5.
Council, just recall that if you would like to approve it with the staff's recommendation, the planning and zoning's recommendation, and the modified request of the property owner, you would need to include in your motion language something like, move for approval based on planning and zoning recommendation or staff recommendation, because it's listed on the agenda as general retail only.
Do we need to specify PD, SF2?
No, I think as long as you say, I move for approval per planning and zoning's recommendation, that will be clear enough.
Okay, well then I'll make a motion to approve based on planning and zoning's recommendation.
Are you making a motion on item 1 or item 2?
Item 5.
Item 5. I'm second on that one.
We have a motion and a second on item 5. Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Long?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales?
Aye.
Mayor Davis?
Aye. Moving along to item 6, I'll consider a motion for approval on that item. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. If you may have any questions or comments on item 6 first?
I'll also make a motion to approve item 6 based on planning and zoning's request.
I'll also second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Long?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker?
Aye.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales?
Aye.
Mayor Davis?
Aye. Very good. Moving on to item 7. Consider adopting a resolution pursuant to Chapter 2206, Government Code 2206.053, finding that 3 properties and 2 temporary construction easements situated in the Baldwin-Robertson Survey, abstract number 17, Bell County, Texas, are necessary for the proposed expansion of Poison Oak Road, and authorize the use of eminent domain to condemn the properties. Ms. Demers.
Thank you, Mayor. Poison Oak right-of-way expansion and acquisition. The project currently requires right-of-way from 32 properties. That is from 25 private owners and 2 public entities, those being TxDOT and Belton ISD, and some right-of-way from a city-owned property. The project also includes 13 properties that require relocations. We have acquired 13 properties at this point, including Belton ISD's donation of right-of-way and the right-of-way from the city-owned property. We're currently coordinating closings on 2 properties, and if you'll recall at your January 17th council meeting, you did authorize eminent domain for 1 property. And earlier tonight on the consent agenda, there was a authorization to purchase 1 right-of-way by agreement. And this is an overview map of Poison Oak from 317 to Old Waco Road and its new map of its new alignment. And tonight I've got arrows pointing at the 3 properties that we're asking eminent domain authority on. It's 2 partial takings to the north, the ones we call property 6 and 7, and 1 to the south, the property we call parcel 10. Property 6 and 7, these are aerial views of it. We do need some right-of-way and a temporary construction easement. These are partial takings. They're adjacent properties. And for property 6, we made an initial offer on November 15th for 0.331 acres of right-of-way and 0.195 acres for temporary construction easement. And the offer was for the appraised value of $13,764. And then for parcel 7, we made an initial offer on November 21st for 0.171 acre of right-of-way and 0.11 acre of temporary construction easement. And this offer was again for the appraised value of $9,749. Shortly after we sent the initial offers, we discovered that the property owner had passed away around November 26th. Stateside, who is the third-party contractor helping us with this, made several attempts to contact the son of the owner. As of today, we still have not gotten any response. We did resend the initial offers in the name of the estate, which would be the estate of Benjamin Reed, on March 14th, 2019. So we made several attempts before we even resent those initial offers. Stateside has continued to try to contact the son of the owner. They said we still have not made any contact. And to the best of our knowledge, the will has not been probated, and so we sent final offer letters for those 2 properties on April 30th. The third property is at property 10, and it's what we call a whole taking. There is a residence and a shop on that building, or on that property. We made an initial offer on October 26th for the appraised value of $185,000. The owner made a counter offer to the city on November 21st. That was more than 3 times the appraised value. However, they did not provide us any type of documentation to support this, an appraisal or any type of broker's opinion. The owner through stateside has stated that she will not accept anything less than this amount. So we went ahead and sent a final offer letter on April 8th. And due to the lack of the response and possible title issues with the first 2 properties, staff believes condemnation is the only way to acquire those 2 at this time, and we believe an agreement is unlikely with the third property. So therefore, we're requesting the authority to use eminent domain. The final offers were presented, and they've not been accepted in the 14 days required by law. Therefore, the city will proceed to condemnation. However, like in all our condemnation cases, if we are contacted, or we will continue to negotiate. So we're always willing to continue to try to settle these amicably. So answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mears. Council, any thoughts or questions on this item? Good, then I'll entertain a motion on item number 7, and you have the special motion language at your desk.
Mayor, I'll be happy to make the motion and read the language, which we couldn't accomplish without the legal department helping us with the correct language. I move that the City of Temple approve resolution number 2019-9663-R and authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire fee simple title to a portion of 2 properties and all of a third property, and 2 temporary construction easements located along Poison Oak Road in Temple, Texas. The first property being more particularly described as 0.331 acre along with a 0.195 acre temporary construction easement situated in the Baldwin-Robertson Survey, abstract number 17, Bell County, Texas, being a portion of a called 10.335 acre tract conveyed to Benjamin Cecil Reed in volume 3398, page 397, official public records of real property, Bell County, Texas. The second property being more particularly described as 0.171 acre along with a 0.11 acre temporary construction easement situated in the Baldwin-Robertson Survey, abstract number 17, Bell County, Texas, being a portion of a called 10.335 acre tract conveyed to Benjamin Cecil Reed in volume 3461, page 644, official public records of real property, Bell County, Texas, and the third property being more particularly described as a 1.13 acres situated in the Baldwin-Robertson Survey, abstract number 17, Bell County, Texas, being a portion of a tract of land conveyed to Theodore R. Johns and wife, Bernice Johns, in volume 1057, page 164, deed of records of Bell County, Texas, for the expansion of Poison Oak Road.
We have a motion.
I'll second it. Just glad I didn't have to read it.
We were going to let you do that one as a way
I
to
figured you were. Yeah.
Sorry.
I was waiting.
You got to jump in there.
I know.
Very good. We have a motion and a second on item 7. Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Long?
Aye.
Councilmember Walker? Aye. Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales?
Aye.
Mayor Davis?
Aye. Item number 8 is to consider adopting a resolution accepting the 2030 Reinvestment Zone Master Plan. Ms. Myers?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I am pleased to present to you today for your consideration to adopt the 2030 Master Plan for the Reinvestment Zone. We did a full presentation on the Master Plan at your last meeting during work session, so I have a very abbreviated presentation for tonight. This is the culmination of a couple of years almost worth of work, so it's been a lot of work on the behalf of community members as well as city staff. See if I can get my pointer to work. There we go. So this master plan covers the City of Temple's reinvestment zone, which has districts including the industrial park, the downtown Temple area, the Temple Medical and Education District, Synergy Park, the corporate campus, as well as the Temple Regional Airport. So it covers a significant portion of our city, and some of our key business districts are included as part of the reinvestment zone. So this is a critical and very important plan that helps us to achieve advancements in quality of life and infrastructure and economic development that we are proud of. The 2030 master plan focused on 4 areas, planning principles, including economic prosperity, placemaking, connectivity, and public well-being. The plan has identified just a few projects in these 4 categories. So we have a fairly comprehensive plan that represents over $366 million of potential projects over the course of the next decade. And we will steadily work away on those should you consider adopting this plan. I do want to mention, as I've said, this effort began just at 2 years ago, so it has been a very comprehensive planning process with lots of time given by the reinvestment zone. In particular, the Master Plan Committee, which is a subcommittee that was appointed to really lead and guide this plan. That committee was chaired by Mr. Bob Browder. Members of the committee included Tyler Johnson, Jim Kent, John Keela, and now Councilmember Williams, who at the time was a reinvestment zone member. City staff that were instrumental in the process and that I would like to take an opportunity to thank include Tracy, Heather, Kevin, Dawn, Brian, Buford, Kayla, and Melissa in Tracy's office. We met twice a month for many months to get this project completed. So we appreciate the time and commitment of these folks leading to this exciting plan. This is not cooperating with me. In addition to our committee members and the staff, we did a really extensive public outreach in getting our community partners involved in the process. So the first several months of the planning initiative really involved just getting together with the various organizations that we work with throughout the community, hearing from them on what their strategic plans and their master plans are calling for, so that we could make sure that our plan was in alignment with those and helping to support the broader community's vision and strategic plan. So we've met with our partners in TMED, including Beller, Scott & White, the Department of Veterans Affairs, and Temple College. We met with our educational partners, which Temple College falls into that category as well as all of our public ISDs, so Troy, Belton, Temple, Academy. We also met with our business partners, including the Temple Economic Development Corporation and the Chamber of Commerce. We met with other regional planning organizations like the Central Texas Council of Governments and some other partnership programs, including the Housing Authority and the Temple Children's Museum. We also were able to meet with TxDOT as part of the project as well, and the Temple Health and Bioscience District, also a partner in the TMED area. So with that, I can answer any questions that you have. You have the full document that was provided at your last meeting. I hope you take the opportunity to read that plan, as it's a comprehensive look at where we are working towards in the next decade. And again, I appreciate the extensive work that was put into this plan by the community and our staff.
We're very appreciative of the work from Mr. Browder and Mr. Johnson, Mr. Williams, and everyone on that board. That is an extensive document, and the reinvestment zone has done. Reinvestment zone is probably the biggest catalyst for change in this city, and so appreciate those on council back years ago that adopted that, and I appreciate those over the years that have taken that ball and continued to run with it. So thank you very much for those efforts. Council, do you have any questions or comments on this item? There being none, I will entertain a motion from Councilmember Williams on item 8.
It is my honor to make my first motion, the adoption of the 2030 Reinvestment Zone Master Plan.
Very good, thank you.
I'd like to second that motion.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Long.
Before I vote, and obviously my vote is yes, but I would like to add that going through this has just been awe-inspiring, and thank you, Mr. Browder, so much. And Mr. Williams, we welcome you to council. As you know more than a lot of us know, so thank you for being here. My vote's yes.
Councilmember Walker. Aye. Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales.
Aye.
Mayor Davis.
Aye. Thank you all for attending, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Get some parade. Yeah. Let's go get us some Budweiser.